Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing my July wrap up and my August TBR. I didn't read a lot in July, hence why I'm combining these two. I only read 6 books and I also don't normally set TBRs, but I wanted to try and force myself to read more, so I thought maybe I should set a TBR to kind of encourage me in a way. I don't know. I thought I'd give it a go. The last time I set myself a TBR was in April for the Owls readathon, and I actually managed to complete all of those. I read 16 books when I needed to read 12 and I completed every challenge. So again, I'm setting myself a TBR and following a month-long readathon again. I'm going to start off with my July wrap-up. I read 6 books, as I said earlier. It was like an okay read. I didn't really read anything bad and I read some good books, but not ones that are like my favourite books of all time, if that makes sense. The first book is actually one of my favourite books of all time, but that's because it's a reread, and that is I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. I read this as a part of my Alice Oseman rereadathon, which I did as a vlog, which is on my channel. I will leave it linked down below. I really love this book. I always have. It's my favourite Alice Oseman book. Loveless is quite close to it, but this is probably still my favourite. What I particularly love about this book is all the conversations it has. I love the conversations around fandom from both a fan's perspective and the celebrity's perspective, and how that impacts both of them. A lot of books about fame deal with like the negative aspects of fame, but I really like how this also took the perspective of a fan and what it means to become like attached to something, because that's not really a viewpoint we've ever had before. I love the conversations around Muslim representation, which is always a great thing to read about. I love the conversations around trans characters. I also adore the mental health representation in this book. Honestly, it's one of my favourite books, and it's really light-hearted compared to her other books. If you want some more of my opinions, go check out my Alice Oseman rereadathon, but just know I gave this book 5 stars, and I always will give it 5 stars. The next book I read was Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I loved Get a Life, Chloe Brown last year. It was one of my favourite books of the year. It's one of my favourite romance books of all time, and there was a lot of hype for this. A lot of people were saying it's so much better. I was slightly disappointed because of that hype, I think. Don't get me wrong, I still really enjoyed this book, but it just didn't live up to the hype for me. I didn't find a big connection to it like I did with Chloe Brown. I didn't find the romance particularly great. I just thought there could have been more, really. I just wanted more romantic scenes in it. I don't think there was enough. I don't think there was enough chemistry between the two. I did quite appreciate the fact that the love interest is a Muslim guy, which we never see in romance books, ever. So yeah, I liked that aspect, but it wasn't one of my favourite books. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, and I probably won't be remembering it for very long. The next book I read was on my Kindle, and that was Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. I was really hesitant going into this book. My history with Muslim representation in books is not great. A lot of books I don't particularly enjoy. I have read S.K. Ali's previous book before, The Saints and Misfits, and I didn't really like it, so I wasn't expecting to love this book, but I'd seen a lot of people talk about how amazing it is. A lot of Muslim bloggers have always loved this book, so I decided to give it a go, and I actually really enjoyed it. I was so surprised about that. I thought the Muslim representation in this book was amazing. I loved seeing a Muslim romance novel that was like all halal and everything. Like, it was just great to see in a book because we never get that. I also quite appreciate the conversations around Islamophobia. Usually I don't like how a lot of Muslim books are centred on Islamophobia as their plot, because it kind of shows that that's all we are, really. However, I really appreciated the way it talked about Islamophobia and like how there are different ways of dealing with it for different people. I loved both Zainab and Adam, and I thought they were interesting characters to follow. I liked their families. I really enjoyed this quite a lot, to the point where I've actually ordered myself a physical copy, so I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. There is so much hype for this book at the moment, and it's truly well deserved. This follows a teenage girl who enters a contest to become prom queen in her school after she realises that she could get a scholarship to her dream school if she wins. I really enjoyed this book. I really love prom in books. I don't know why. I just find it a really interesting topic, probably because I never went to prom, but I just really loved the way it works. I don't know why. This book also features a sapphic relationship, which I adore. It's always great fun. I wanted a little bit romance between the main two because I felt like there needed to be a bit more. There really wasn't much romance between them, but I still did really enjoy it. I would say this book is more on the contemporary side than the romance side, because the romance is very much a subplot. The main theme is about loving who you are and not changing who you are to fit in with society or to win. I really appreciate that message, and I think it's a really important book. Also, this cover is stunning. It's one of my favourite covers of the year, so I actually ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars, maybe 5 stars. I'll see if it has a lasting impression on me, but around that mark. I then read Love Creekwood by Becky Albertalli, which is the new novella set in the Simon verse. It kind of ties everything together and ends the series in a way. I actually found this book really pointless. I didn't really get it. I don't know why she released this book, honestly. It's told entirely through emails from Simon to Bram, Leah to Abby, Leah to Simon, Abby to Simon, all that stuff. I just didn't really understand why it was necessary. I also found it odd how it kind of contradicted Love Victor, which is a new TV show set in the same world, because I thought it was all meant to be one thing. I don't know, I don't really get it. I don't know if it has to link, because obviously Love, Simon, the film, is different to the book, but I found that a bit odd. The ending was just weird. I feel like it was throwing in some conflict just because. I just really think this book shouldn't have existed, honestly. I love Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, but all the books since then I haven't really enjoyed, and I think this book is probably my least favourite because I don't think it was really necessary. I ended up giving this book 3 stars, maybe 2.5, like, I just don't get it. Like, it was a fun read and everything, but I don't know why we needed it. And the final book I read in July was Truly Madly Royally by Debbie Regaud, I think is how you say her name, I'm not sure. This book was kind of just a fun YA book that I wanted to read. It's about a black teenager falling in love with a prince of a random European fake country, I think. And it was just a bit fun, really. There wasn't much to it. I did want a bit more romance. It felt kind of insta-love. There wasn't really much connection between the two. Like, I just wanted a little bit more chemistry or romantic scenes to kind of set it up. It just all felt very rushed and kind of surface. I don't think we ever learn enough about the love interest to really understand him or understand why she's attracted to him, other than the fact that he's a prince. I did enjoy the way it talked about race and race conversations, and also like hometown pride and community, which I quite enjoyed. So I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. That's it for my July wrap up, so I'm going to start talking about my August TBR. I decided to be a little bit ambitious with this one because I just felt like it. I didn't really read much in July. I was in a bit of a reading slump for most of the month. And earlier today, actually, Keris posted her readathon, which is called Read Until You Drop-a-thon. The whole point of this readathon is to read as much as you can in a month, basically. Keris is from the channel Library of Keris, and she's doing this to try and read 31 books in August, which I am not going to be able to do straight up. That's not happening. However, I have got about 15-16 books that I want to try and get through. I went through the prompts and I doubled up on some prompts to get to all the books that are on my physical TBR. There's still like half of it left. I don't have a very big physical TBR, I have about 30, but I kind of went with the ones that I thought I could actually read this month. My aim for this month is just to get through my physical TBR, that's it. The readathon comes with 30 prompts to try and hit. I'm going to double up and do a couple for the same book, but I'm going to go through every single prompt and say what I'm reading for each one, even though it would be the same for a few of them. Some of them I didn't manage to hit, but if I get through all of these I might try and hit them afterwards, so. The first prompt is read a book that one of your favourite bookish content creators gave 5 stars. And for this one, I picked Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This, I believe, was rated 5 stars by Mayona for Mayona Reads. I really love her channel. If you haven't checked her out, go check her out. She's amazing. I'm kind of hesitant to read this because I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I want to give it a go because I love Leigh Bardugo, so. The next prompt is to read a book with your favourite colour text on the cover. For this I kind of struggled because my favourite colour is like teal, which is never a thing in fonts really. But I ended up picking The Prom by Saundra Mitchell. It's kind of like a combination of these two colours of my favourite colours, so I decided to go with this. This is a novelisation of the musical. I was originally going to wait until after I'd seen the musical because it's coming out on Netflix, but I just want to get through it, really. I want to get through my physical TBR, and so I decided to read this because it's short and I can get through it fast. The next prompt is to read a book that you bought on a whim, and that is Ghost by Jason Reynolds. I decided to randomly buy this about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. I just went on a book buying spree and picked up this one because I was interested in it. It's also a short middle grade book that I think I will fly through and that I think I'll really enjoy, so. The next prompt is to read a book that has less than 3.8 rating on Goodreads, and I picked Empress of All Seasons by Emiko Jean. This, I can't remember what it has, I think it was like 3.5, I did check. This also works with a prompt to read a book with the lowest average rating on your Goodreads TBR, so that works. This was a random book that I got in a Lumacrate box that I've been interested in since I got it because it's a standalone fantasy novel and I want more of those, so I want to read this to try and force myself back into fantasy in a way. The next prompt is to read a book that starts with the last letter of your current read. I have 2 current reads, but I decided to pick Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race as my current read, because then I can pick Empress of All Seasons for this prompt, so that works. The next prompt is to read a sapphic book, and I again picked The Prom because it's about a lesbian couple. They are on the cover as well, if you can see. I don't really know much about it, but I know it follows a lesbian couple, so. The next prompt is to have a friend pick a book, which I didn't do. However, I know that one of my friends, Jamie, will probably want me to read Ninth House, so I'm just gonna say that she picked it because I know that she will want me to read it. So the next prompt is to read a book that has at least 10 words in the title, and for this I'm finishing my current read of Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race because it has exactly 10 words, which I was struggling with to begin with, but then I picked up this and I was like, oh my god, it does. I'm only about 50 pages in. I'm listening to the audiobook and I'm taking it quite slow because I want to appreciate it, but I want to finish this soon. So the next prompt is one that I didn't manage to do, and that is to read a book that's less than 100 pages. I don't have any of those on my Kindle or on my physical TBR, so I didn't manage to hit that one, but I'm alright with not hitting that. It's fine by me. The next prompt is to read a book by a black author. I have a number of them on this TBR, but I'm going to pick Ghost by Jason Reynolds because he's a black American author. The next prompt is to read the oldest book on your TBR, and that is Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill for me. I believe this is the oldest book on my TBR. I've had this since like 2015 maybe. It's been a while. So this one, which I've been putting off for years, so I need to read it. The next prompt is to read an ebook, audiobook or graphic novel. For this I could do Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race because it's my audiobook, but I also have most of these books on my TBR, also on my Kindle because I have a problem. So this will be quite easy for me because I read a lot of ebooks every month. The next prompt is to read a book with magic, and for this I've picked Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. I need to continue on with this series. Magic plays a big part in this series. I don't remember the first book very well, but I need to force myself to read this so I can see whether I want to carry on with it after this. The next is to pick a book that you say you'll read but you never do, and that is definitely Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn for me. I've been saying I'm going to read this since I got it in April, May, maybe? I don't know when I got it. I think it was April. I've been meaning to read it since then, so I need to read it ASAP. I don't know why I'm putting it off. I know I'm gonna love this book, but I need to read it. The next prompt is a book you bought because someone else convinced you to buy it. I don't think I ever actually do this. Obviously, like, most of these books are because, like, the internet has forced me to buy it because of hype, but I don't think that counts. I don't know. I'm not going to do this prompt because I don't think I've had a book that someone specifically has forced me to buy. The next prompt is to read a book that matches the colour that you're wearing. I am wearing a yellow dress at the moment, so I'm going to pick Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I was gifted this book about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. I really want to read it because everyone's talking about it and it matches my top, so. The next prompt is to read a non-fiction book, which I'm going to finish my current read of Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race because I need to read this. The next one is to read a book that someone else bought you, and for this I'm picking Girl, Woman, Other because, as I just said, I was gifted this by a friend, so. The next prompt is to read a book that was on someone else's most disappointing list, and for this I'm picking Ninth. As I said, this was the sort of book that some people loved, some people hated. I remember it was on, who was it? It was on some booktuber's most disappointing list, but I can't remember who it was. I will try and remember and link it down below, but it definitely was on at least one person that I can remember. The next prompt is to finish that series, which I'm not going to do because I don't have a series where I am on the final book that I haven't read that I actually want to read, so I'm not going to force myself. So the next prompt is to reread a favourite, and for that I'm picking American Royals by Catherine McGee. I need to reread this because the sequel is coming out in September. I think it's coming out September 1st, and I want to prepare for it by rereading it. This is my favourite book of last year, so it's definitely a favourite of mine. The next prompt is to continue that series, and for that I'm picking Children of Virtue and Vengeance because I need to continue this one. I guess you could also count this for finishing that series because if I finish this I will finish where we're currently at with this series. I don't know. If you want to count it, you can count it. The next prompt is to read a book that has the exact same page count as your last read, which I don't think I'm going to do. My last read was an ebook and I really can't be bothered to figure that out, and I don't think I will have one, so I'm not going to attempt that one. Then we have a book with an ugly cover, and the ugliest cover that I have on my physical TBR is probably After the Fire by Will Hill. I just really don't like this cover, I don't know why, but I am interested in the book because it's about cults, which I've never read about. The next prompt is your most recent purchase, which I actually don't have on me. It's coming tomorrow. I ordered it today. Before I even decided to do this, I just ordered it with some other books. All of the other books I ordered I have already read, but this one is the only one I haven't read, and that is The Pieces of Ourselves by Maggie Harcourt. I love Maggie Harcourt as an author. I've loved all of her books, so I wanted to read her latest, which came out in February or March. But yeah, I need to read this. The final prompt is a quick read, which many can count for, Ghost, The Prom, but I'm going to count my current read, which is A Kind of Spark by Elle McNicol. This is a middle grade book about an autistic main character. It's less than 200 pages, so it's really quick. I'm going to try and get through at least half today, maybe even finish it, I don't know. I want to get through a lot today, so yeah. So that was my July wrap up and my August TBR. It's quite an ambitious August TBR considering how short my July wrap up was, but I want to get through as much as possible, and I want to get my physical TBR down because it needs to get down. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one.